Well, so what we're going to cover today is a basic introduction to help each of you get the most out of LinkedIn at a beginning level. Now, this is by no means a comprehensive overview of everything that LinkedIn can do for you. What we're going to focus on today is the basics of making sure that when someone finds your profile on LinkedIn, there is no doubt that they know they found you and that you are visible. So even if the person trying to connect with you may be missing some information about who you are, what your business is, and what you do, this will greatly improve their ability to find you, as well as at the same time just overall boost your visibility on LinkedIn, since it is an incredibly useful social media network that a lot of people very easily forget. So the first thing I want to go over here is a comprehensive introduction to filling out your member profile. So there's a lot of components here inside of your LinkedIn member profile. Now, to get to this page, if you're looking at the home page of LinkedIn on your computer, you'll see your name at the top left side of the screen, and all you have to do is click on your name and that will take you to your member profile. Now, what we're going to do here first is go through and make sure that all of this information is updated, since a lot of people who use LinkedIn don't have the most up-to-date information on their profile. So we're going to click the blue pencil here in the top box of your member profile. And you'll notice that there's a cover image that you have at the very top. Now, LinkedIn is kind of fussy about what size restrictions they have for your cover image. And as of this date, May 14th of 2020, the ideal size for your cover image on LinkedIn is 1,584 pixels by 396 pixels. So that's going to give you the correct dimensions of a picture that will fit. So what we're going to do here is delete the current photo. And now we're going to upload a new one. And you'll see that since the proportions of the picture that we've prepared is correct, there aren't any areas outside of the picture. We can't adjust the picture any which direction. Now, if you're using an image that isn't perfectly proportioned to this, you'll see inside of this box here with your image, there are areas that you can click and drag and then crop your image inside. So for example, here I'm going to zoom way in just to get an idea of what we're looking at. So you'll see that the image is far too large for the space that's available. And that's always an option you can look at for your image, is before you, if you're not privy to graphics editing software, just try to zoom the image and get the text and content in there that you want to use. Now, once you're happy with your selection, you're going to click Apply. So what that does is that makes sure that your cover image for your LinkedIn profile is up to date. Next, we're going to update our profile image. Now, as of this date, again, the ideal headshot profile image for your LinkedIn profile is 400 pixels by 400 pixels. So it's relatively small, and most professional headshot images are way larger than that in the original file. So if you're using the whole headshot image, you'll have an opportunity to drag the picture around to where you want it. And once again, you can zoom in and zoom out. So what we're going to do here, though, is delete the image that exists and then come back and add an image that is exactly within those proportions that LinkedIn has set. Now, other things that you can do to an image, if you want to be able to crop any which direction, you can select that option. You can also look at filters if you want to add any kind of basic photo editing to your image, as well as adjusting any of the levels. So if you have a picture that you're not quite happy with, but with some slight tweaks, it'll work for you under the adjust tab here is where you would be able to change those settings for your picture. So once you're happy with this selection, you'll click Apply. Now, under Headline here, this is the top level elevator pitch of your LinkedIn member profile. So you'll see that if we delete everything and start typing, you want to add just top level, what kind of value do you add to your clients? So make sure to add that in your headline. It'll appear next to your profile in searches, so it has to be engaging and make users on LinkedIn want to click to view your profile. And now you'll see that I've exceeded the text that LinkedIn allows here by 2 characters. So now what I'll have to do is delete the text until it tells me that I still have a positive number of characters remaining or 0. Once you're in the red territory, for example, if I keep hitting space here, you'll see my count of how many spaces that are left. I'm at 0. Any additional spaces now, it turns the field red, and I have to then back up until I'm under that limit that LinkedIn sets. Next, we'll look at our current position. So if you have any professional experience already added into your LinkedIn profile, you can select which one you would like to show as your current position. So this is once again at the top level when someone's looking at your profile in search results, as well as looking at your profile as just another LinkedIn member. This is the job title that'll appear with your name. Now, you can select whether or not you want to show your education in your introduction, which is that top level space in your profile on your LinkedIn profile page, as well as, once again, those user results. You can choose not to show that at all, and it won't give you an option of which institution you want to select. But just in case you do, you can toggle which college experience you would like to highlight there. Or as with position, either of these you can click Add New Education, and then you would enter that information in. So we're going to discard those changes. And now you'll see it's completely forgotten all of our information. So let's get that back up to date real quick.
Good picture, Ryan.
There we go. Thank you. Next, you'll have your region. So you want to select which country you're in. And then if you add a zip code, it will give you a little more of a general area. Now, this helps when it comes down to specific location selection, since I'll give you a great example. You can't exactly add Greenwood, Indiana as a city to your profile. You'll end up as Indianapolis, Indiana area as a metropolitan zone. So make sure that you're adding your zip code to your profile, because it helps give a little more definitive location to where you are inside of the metro area that LinkedIn classifies. Next, we'll select which industry you're a part of. So you can only select from the list of what's available here. There is not an option to be able to add something that is not in the list. So since what we do here at Open in Indiana falls along the lines of marketing and advertising, that's the category that best describes what industry we reside in. Now, for many of you, you will likely find a pretty exact fit of where you want to be, but there are some instances where you kind of have to reach into what is the closest classification that you can add yourself into. Next, you can add custom contact information to your profile. So for example, if you want to add your business phone number, you can add that in this field. And then if you'd like to provide a mailing address to your profile, you can. Now, since most individuals work from home, this is where if you have a post office box or some kind of address where you receive business mail, that's what you'd add. You do not have to add your home address to it. Now, the more information that you add here into your profile is the more information that's out there. So if you don't want to post your home address in there, you don't have to, but just in case you do, there's a potential it's available out there for people to see. So just be warned about that before you put the information up there. Now, next you'll see the email address that's associated with the default of your LinkedIn account. And we'll cover a little later how you can change a primary email address that you have tied to LinkedIn. Next, if you have any instant messenger platforms that you use, now LinkedIn gives you the option between Skype, ICQ, Google Hangouts, QQ, and WeChat. Now, because we use a Google Hangouts account, we'll go ahead and add that here. And if you have additional instant messenger accounts, you could just continue to add them. Next, you'll have your birth date, and you can choose the visibility of what you would like that to be. So your connections means only people that you are directly connected with, individual members that you have specifically accepted a connection request from. Your network, which is that first level of connections, people you've accepted connection requests from, as well as your second and third degree networks on LinkedIn, which are people who are connected with your connections or connected at another level through people that you mutually know. So make sure that you select the option at which you're comfortable with your birth date being visible on the website. Just as a principle on privacy perspective, under no circumstances do I recommend making it available to all LinkedIn members. The reason is it introduces another area that people who don't know you can get layers of information that they otherwise may not have. So make sure at the very least you're selecting your network or even just your connections. Once you're happy with your selections, you'll click Apply. Now we'll come back down and make sure that all of the changes we've made previously are still here and that we're happy with our choices before we click Save at the bottom. So now you've updated your top overview, or your introduction, if you will, as what LinkedIn refers to it as. You'll see that your cover image, your profile image have been updated, your elevator pitch has been updated, your current position is updated, and your college is updated. Now you'll see location. Now LinkedIn does an interesting thing in the introduction tile of profiles. They cap the count of connections at 500 plus. So you never really know how many connections someone has on LinkedIn, or you yourself, until you're looking at the My Network tab up at the top of LinkedIn here, which we'll get to a little later. Next, we're going to scroll down and look at the About tab. So this is an extended area to add your elevator pitch. So if any of the content that you were trying to add into your headline didn't fit, you can add that field here. So we're going to go ahead and add that really quick. Oh, accidentally opened up a tab there. There we go. And so we're going to save now that we've added our content. Next, you'll see featured. So this is an area that allows you to upload files to your LinkedIn account. So since LinkedIn is designed as a social media platform for job seekers, this is a great opportunity if you have an updated resume that you'd like to add to your profile. But since each of us here uses LinkedIn as entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals, we can also add other items like brochures for our institution, or Judy, in your case, as a nonprofit organization, you can upload a fact sheet, any kind of background or fundraising material that you have available. So if we hit the pencil, you'll see that we can delete what's currently up here if we'd like to. And now you'll see that section's disappeared. So if we want to add something else, we'll add add profile section, and then under featured, we can add media. And now what we'll do is look for the file that we want to replace it with. And sometimes it takes a second for LinkedIn to process your upload. In the meantime, you want to make sure to give a proper title to your file. So LinkedIn defaults to the name of your file, and if you use any kind of numbering structure for dates or file hierarchy or anything like that, it can get pretty confusing for the person looking at it. So we're going to make sure we give this a name that's easy to see what people are looking at. Next, add a description to the file that you're uploading. Oh, I lost something. We have an error. Well, let's try that again. So we're going to click Add Profile section under Featured. We're going to select Media. And so let's click a little smaller file size this time. And then once again, make sure you change the name. And you have to love spell check. And I have a feeling here that I have a Chrome extension that this doesn't like. So we're going to discard that real quick, and we're going to try and disable AdBlock Plus and refresh the page and try again. Let's make sure that it didn't add it before we, okay, there we go. So let's try that again. We'll have to give that a moment to upload. While we wait for this to upload, I'd like to use this opportunity to ask if anyone has any questions so far about anything that we've covered.
If you're a job seeker, how does what we're doing right now differ?
So far, I would say it's about making sure you're adding your resume rather than, in this case, I'm trying to add a company brochure. Now, there are some other advantages and features to LinkedIn specifically for job seekers that we don't have on today's agenda. but there are a number of other features for folks who are looking for a job, as well as for organizations who are looking for a great candidate for that job.
Okay, thank you, Ryan.
All right, so LinkedIn does not appear to like what we're doing, so we'll move on and try that again here at the end, just in case.
Does LinkedIn allow advertising in that spot?
Generally, I wouldn't want to encourage advertising anything other than specifically what you can do for the people you work with. I wouldn't necessarily advertise any entity beyond that. Next, you'll see your dashboard, which is something that only you can see as a LinkedIn member. So this is going to give you kind of an overview of how many people have viewed your profile, how many people have looked at your posts, and how many searches have you appeared in. So if you click on any of these, it will give you some basic readout data on how many times your profile has been viewed on a certain date. So in this case, it's looking at a 90-day span with, on any of these, you can hover over and get an idea of how many people happened on that specific week. So in this case, our high was the week of March 12th, 2020, with things seeming to be on the rise with this week here. Now, depending on if you are using a free or a premium LinkedIn account, premium options of LinkedIn give you access to a lot more features and being able to see who is looking at your profile. So depending on where you are as a professional, maybe purchasing a premium LinkedIn account is for you. We personally, myself or Carly, don't use it. I personally think it's a very large financial investment going up from free to where they set the premium options are. So there is value that you get, but there is still a lot of things that people are underutilizing in the free plan.
Ryan, how much is the the professional plan? Do you know?
I believe their basement right now is around $63 and change per month. It goes up from there depending on which other membership options you're looking at.
Okay.
Now that was as of our last check on it, and that's still been a few months.
Okay.
So let's go back here to our profile. Next, you'll see a block that's activity. So if you are currently using LinkedIn and you either post stuff to LinkedIn or you like, comment, or share other users' content, kind of similar to how Facebook works, you'll see that pop up in your activity. So if you click see all, it'll give you a complete readout of all of the content that you have shared or any kind of interactions that you've had on LinkedIn. So if you wanted to review something and then, let's say, for example, if you find something that you'd like to edit, you can use the three dots on the top right corner of that box, and you can either feature it at the top of your profile, you can send it to someone in a private message, you can embed the post. So if you want to link to it from your own website where you have HTML access, you can embed the post on your website and allow people to click through to it. You can also edit your posts. So if you need to spell check yourself, or if you want to delete the post, disable comments, or modify visibility, you can do that on each post that you're looking at. So now let's scroll down to experience. So this is kind of like your e-resume. Now, there is no real right or wrong answer about how many job titles you can put in there, past experience. So if you want to add a new position, you just simply hit the plus. And if your company that, or excuse me, if your job title here that you'd like to add, so let's say and it'll give you some job title options. You can select what type of employment it is. Now, company name. If the company already exists on LinkedIn, it will start to link you to that business profile, so you can add it in there. Now, if your business doesn't exist yet, it will allow you to add a text only of the business. Now, the value of having it linked to a business page is that if we back out here for a second, you'll see that each of these are clickable where it goes through to your company page. So this is helpful along the lines of if you're using, if you are the owner of the business and you're trying to promote the business page at the same time, you want to make sure that you have that. Now, if your company doesn't exist on LinkedIn yet, or you work for a company that's not there, it will allow you to just add a text-only name of the business. You want to make sure that you add the location. So once again, if it's Greenwood, Indiana, you want to put Indianapolis, Indiana area. You can also select if you're currently in that position. So let's say in this case, we're adding past positions. You just uncheck that, and then you can add your start date, end date, your description. So what were your job responsibilities? What did you do in that position? If there's any kind of supporting media that you'd like to add for that position, you can add it there. Excuse me. Then once you've added all of the details for the job, you would simply hit save, and it would add that job to your list here under experience. Same thing for education. You can add as many education opportunities as you would like into your profile. So for those of you who have achieved multiple academic degrees, you can make sure to put each institution there. Or if you've attended any special vocational training or certifications, you can add that education experience in there. So you can add the degree, the institution that you're with, what area you studied, the year you started, the end year. So let's say, for example, if you're still in that area of study, you can put your graduation date or your end date all the way out to 2027 as of right now. Now, it's fair to assume that that year will continue to go further and further out as we get to 2021, 2022, and so on. So your grade, if you want to add like a grade point average, activities and societies that you've been involved with, so any kind of academic program or activities outside of it, as well as any kind of fraternity or sorority organizations that you'd belong to, that'd be a good place to add those. Description, so you can extend a little further out about your area of study and what you covered in that program, as well as upload any media with it. So for example, if it's a college study program, this would be a great place to upload kind of a scan of your diploma or certificate of completion or graduation or whatever that document looks like. Now, at the bottom of this, you'll see if you toggle this option on, once you hit save, it will send this education experience out to all of the people that you're connected with. The same thing with job experience in the last section we just talked about. If you put this section on, then everyone who you're connected with on LinkedIn will see this as a post in their timeline that says, here, Ryan added a new education experience, or Ryan added a new job title, where they could then like it, comment on it, or share it with other LinkedIn users. So next we'll talk about volunteer experience. And so you'll see that volunteer experience works similar to how work experience and education was just in the last two sections here. So to add a new experience, you find the name of the organization, add your role, look at which cause. Now, just like industry in editing your user profile, LinkedIn only has certain categories of options that you can select. So you have to select the option that most closely fits what you do with that organization. Just like your job experience, you can add, I'm currently volunteering in this role, so that it doesn't publish an end date. And then add your start month and year and a description with your volunteer service. Once you're happy with your selections, hit save. Next, we'll move on to skills and endorsements. So skills is a good option to make sure that you add in your profile, because these are things that your LinkedIn connections can endorse you for. So let's say, for example, here I've selected leadership, marketing, and customer service as the highlighted skills I want in my profile. So if we click this pencil to edit, we'll have the option to either unselect the options that are up there and then scroll through the skills that we would like to add into our profile. So let's say marketing, we're going to say social media. And let's see here. Say customer experience. And then if you have not maxed out the number of skills that you have, LinkedIn at this time cuts you off at 50. So let's say if you delete a skill, there we go, you just hit the trash can. And you can rearrange these skills just by clicking the 3 bars on the right side, and you can drag the skills up anywhere that you would like them to appear in the list. Once you're happy with your selections, you can click save. And so what we're going to do before we do that is look at our endorsement settings. So under endorsement settings, you can select whether or not you want LinkedIn members to be able to endorse you, as well as including you in endorsement suggestions to your connections. So what that looks like is, as you're browsing LinkedIn, from time to time, it'll ask you if you would like to endorse the person's profile you're looking at for skills. So a good rule here would be to just always leave these options on, because it does help you in overall interactions on LinkedIn. Next, you'll see recommendations. So recommendations is kind of like an endorsement, but specific to a certain scenario. So you can both give recommendations as well as receive recommendations. Now, you'll see here there's ask for a recommendation towards the right side of the screen. So you can search which LinkedIn member would you like to ask for an endorsement from. So Christian, I'm going to pick on you. Whoops. And then you select what your relationship is to the person that you're requesting a recommendation from. So you can select Christian managed you directly. So if you're asking someone who was a previous supervisor, that's where you'd select. Or if you supervised that connection, you want to make sure that you establish what the relationship is with the person. So in this case, I'm going to select Christian was a client. And then what position at the time. So this is where you're going to specify which organization you were working with at the time that you're asking for the recommendation from. So next, you can customize this message. LinkedIn puts some general text in here. So it says, in this example, "Hi, Christian. could you write me a recommendation? Now, it's always a good idea when you're trying to ask someone to recommend you that you think of the specific example that you want them to recommend you for. So in this case, since we've worked with Christian over the last couple of years to help him build his website and online presence, I'm going to make sure to convey that in the message. And once you're happy with your message, now of course, once again, spell check is important here. We're going to click send. And since I've already requested a recommendation from Christian in the past, it's not going to let me do so again. So in that case, we just exit out and we're going to choose another member who I may not have asked a recommendation from before. And so let's say in this case, Myra, I'm picking on you this time. Let's see here. And let's see here. Myra, I'm going to say we work together in the same group because we've never been each other's clients, but we've worked together quite a bit since I've been idea guy at Open in Indiana.
That's one of the problems I find with this, Ryan, is that it doesn't always fit the right scenario.
If you end up in a scenario that doesn't quite fit, just choose the option that closest fits. Now, you're unlikely to upset someone if they may not feel the same way. But that's why it's important here in the next step to make sure you're clarifying why you're asking them for a recommendation. So just in case it doesn't fit the box that LinkedIn gives you to choose from, you can clarify and they can go, okay, no, it's just LinkedIn not categorizing the way I'd like it to.
Okay.
And so there we go. Myra will now receive a notification that I've asked her for a recommendation. Now, we'll cover here in a few moments how to offer or how to provide a recommendation of another user. Now, in fact, let's just go ahead and do it now since we have two recommendations. So let's see, I have a recommendation request from Carly, so I'm going to respond right now. And so once you're happy with your recommendation, click send. And there you are. You have now answered a recommendation request. Now, anytime you're looking at another member's profile, so let's say, Christian, I'm going to come back and pick on you again. Under more, you'll see I could also give kudos. I could request a recommendation, but let's scroll down and see. There we go. There's under the member's profile that you're looking at, under recommendations, you'll see recommend Christian. And then once again, once you're happy with your recommendation, click send. And Christian, I've already written a sales recommendation for you, so unfortunately it won't let me add another one. So let's jump back, since I know we're getting here at 4:52, and we should be making sure that we're covering everything we'd like to get through today. Back under your profile, under recommendations, you'll see your next tab of accomplishments. Let's get rid of these notifications real quick. So under accomplishments, if you'd like to add a new one, you simply hit the plus and you have the option of publication. So let's say, Myra, I'll pick on you for a moment. You published your second book last week and now it's available for readers. Make sure you put that in there. Same thing if you've been granted a patent, if you took part in successfully completing or facilitating a course, if you've completed a significant project, if you received an honor or award from your employer, professional or trade organization, or any entity like that, if you got like a great test score on a project or a course you're working on, if you've learned a new language, or if you've started a new organization. You can add those here under accomplishments. So let's say, for example, let's click publication real quick. You can add the title of your publication, which publication it was, when it was published, you yourself as the author, and then you can add a URL link to the publication. So let's say, for example, if what you published was an article that's online, you can link directly to it, as well as give a description about it here from LinkedIn. So that's a really good way to make sure that you're adding all of these achievements that you have as a professional as you continue to grow. Here at the bottom of your profile, you'll see your interests. So this is a compilation of the influencers, companies, groups, and schools that you follow on LinkedIn. Now you'll see from your feed, or your timeline, as you'd call it, or homepage on LinkedIn, you can follow entities that you see. You can also search for them here, which is the next part that we're going to talk about, which is how to use the search feature inside of LinkedIn. So you'll see once I've clicked into the search bar, you see some immediate categories pop up here. So this is where you can either, in this case, we're going to talk about in a second how to search for people, but you can look for jobs if you're trying to seek new employment. You can look for content on LinkedIn. You can look for companies, schools, or groups on LinkedIn. To give a quick synopsis of groups, it works in a similar way to that of Facebook. It is something that's interest or business or location centered, that you join it with other members and you keep the conversation going with people that you may not be a LinkedIn connection with yet. So it's really useful to make sure that you're doing a search for some groups related to your industry, your location, your school, other interest areas that are important to you. Schools, it works relatively easy, same way. Find the institutions that are out there, such as an institution that you went to and were a part of. Companies, you can follow companies you're interested in, or your employers. But let's dig into the searching for people here on LinkedIn. So you'll see, to get to this page, I simply clicked in the search area and then clicked on people. And that brought me here to a page where you'll see in the first box, it'll show you your connections, and then connections or people at your organization. Now at the top, you'll see a white ribbon with an option that says all filters. So this is really the useful guts of how you use LinkedIn to try and connect with prospects that you're looking for. Once you click all filters, you'll see a huge pop-up of options that you can select in narrowing down who you're looking for on LinkedIn. So you can specify whether you want first connections or second level connections. Now, for this practical application, we don't want to look for people we're already connected with. So we're just going to leave the connections portion blank. You can choose if they are connections with someone you're already connected with. So for example, I can say if they're connected with Christian or with Myra or with Judy or with anyone that we're connected with. You can search by location. Now, this is an option that's important if what you're doing is specific to your ideal clients being in a specific geographic area. Because of the nature of our business and what we do, we're going to say we're looking for people in the Indianapolis, Indiana area. And then current companies. This is where you can specify current employers of the person you're trying to reach. So I'll give you a great example here in the Indianapolis area. Let's say Salesforce here is already an option, but we could also say, let's look for someone who works for the Indianapolis Colts. We can select that as an option, and you can add multiple companies into your search terms. So we're on a roll here, so let's look for the Pacers. And in this case, I didn't see the option that I was happy with, so I might have to try again. And neither of those are it. So occasionally you'll run into where you're not able to find an entity. That doesn't mean you shouldn't keep trying to search for them. So like in this case, Indiana Pacers or Indy Pacers or anything like that. But to keep things moving along, we're just going to go with the one option here. Next, we can look at past employers. So this is where, let's say a big example here that I run into where past employers is important is financial service industry. So let's say as a financial advisor that you know specific retirement products that someone may still be holding from a past employer may be a great fit for what you can do for them now. So this is where you can kind of sketch out some of those past organizations that someone has worked for. Let's see. Next, you're going to look at industry. So just like how we updated in our member profile earlier, we had to select an industry that we work in. So you can specify the industry of the user that you're trying to find. So you see here, it's suggesting to me marketing and advertising, which is my current industry, or some past industries here, information technology and services, staffing and recruiting, computer software, internet, but you can start to type into any kind of industry that you'd like. Now, because for our search purpose, it's not really as important here, we're going to go ahead and leave that blank. Next, if you're looking for a specific language of the LinkedIn user that you're trying to find. So great example, all of us here speak English, so it may not be to our best benefit to look for someone who speaks French. There's a bit of a language barrier there. So let's go ahead and make sure that we select profiles that are in English only. You can also add schools that connection would have attended. So if you want to look at, let's see, let's look at, okay, so let's look at IUPUI here in downtown Indy. And then contact interests. So this allows you to look for members who are interested in pro bono consulting or volunteering opportunities. So Judy, a great example of this for you would be looking for people who would be a great fit volunteering for the benefit of youth connections. Or an interest in joining a nonprofit board. So if you're trying to find someone to add to your board, you want to make sure you select those options. Next, you can filter down by services. And lastly, under the search here, you can filter down specifically by their first name, their last name, their title. So the title is the title that they have with their current employer. Company. So once again, just how we looked at here at current companies a few seconds ago, you could specify that again, just like you could specify with the school as well. So once you've defined all of the search terms that you would like to make a part of your search, you simply hit apply, and you'll see we only have one result from our search results, which is someone who currently works for the Indianapolis Colts, previously worked for the Indy Fuel Hockey Club in Indianapolis, Indiana, English language profile, who went to IUPUI here in Indianapolis. So it's a lot easier than trying to filter through 50 pages of individuals who may be with that specific organization. So this is where now once you've found the person that you're looking for, you want to send them a connection request. Now in this case, because I don't have a legitimate reason to reach out to this person here, I'm going to respect them and not send a connection request. If you were to send a connection request to them, it would ask you if you want to send a note with your connection request. Always do so. So that way you can give them a quick to the point, why are you looking to connect with them? Even if it's just to be able to network with someone in their industry. Just make sure that you're specifying some reason that you want to connect with them that makes it personal. It's going to increase the chances that that person accepts your connection request. Right now what I want to do is go ahead and pause. It is 5:03 p.m. So I want to open it up here to questions from anyone here on anything that we've covered today or anything that you would like to see us cover. Christian.
Yeah, is there a difference between a business profile and the personal profile? Should we have one or the other or both? Having two, does that kind of confuse where am I going to put information? Is it more work on me to update two profiles and just keep one profile with everything in it?
So it's important here that you have your personal profile, which is your LinkedIn profile that we just talked about covering here. Now, with that, you'll see if on the top, let me go ahead and share my screen again. There we go. If I click on at the top, there's a tab that says Me. You'll see there's all of the company pages that I've created under my account. Now, if you have not created a company page yet, you can click on the Work tab just to the right of that, and you'll see Create a Company Page. Once you click that, that's where you would create a profile for your business. So you don't need multiple LinkedIn accounts to be able to do this. This is just creating the company page for your business. It's the same concept of creating a Facebook business page and having your personal member profile. Was that able to answer your question, Christian?
Yes, that answered my question. And if I create a company profile, can that be a club or organization and networking group also?
If you're, yeah, you can do it for any entity you want, and under the practice of it is its own brand. Now, I will say that if you're trying to create something solely for the purpose of networking around people you know and trying to grow your network, you would be well suited in creating a group on LinkedIn rather than just multiple business profiles.
Oh, I need to get in there again and update my stuff because when I looked at it on my phone, I thought, oh, you haven't updated this in a while. So I'm sure I will have questions. I don't know what they are yet till I try it.
Ryan, where would we share videos or links to videos like I did the recording with you for the conversation in your mind? where on the LinkedIn page does that get shared?
So LinkedIn has a cap of 10 minutes for an actual video you can upload. Now, what that means is that you can upload a video directly to LinkedIn if it's under 10 minutes. Now, if it's over 10 minutes, what you would do is add it just like you would any other post on LinkedIn. So you add the link to go to the video and add any text that you want to go along with it. So let's say, for example, this would be, you know, watch my workshop, the conversation in your mind can make you deaf and make you blind, with then the link to the YouTube video or whatever video hosting service you're using.
Is that the same place we would post an upcoming event?
Yes, because LinkedIn does not have its own events calendar. Now, that was a feature in the past that they had utilized, but it's since become something that's just kind of faded into history. So anywhere you have it scheduled to another calendar or registration portal or ticket purchase, you would create a post linking it to that URL that you want it to steer to. All right. Any other questions we can answer?
Not right now. We just need to play around with it. Seems to be quite user-friendly, and the value of LinkedIn just increased by 150% for me.
Well, I'm going to leave you guys with one last great feature that I'm going to specifically pull up and share my cell phone screen with you. So bear with me a moment. You should now see my cell phone screen. And you'll see we're looking at LinkedIn from my Android. So I'm refreshing the LinkedIn profile page, and you'll see it now reflects all the changes that we've made today. Now, if I select to go back to my home page on LinkedIn, you'll see at the bottom there's a tab called My Network. If you click on the My Network tab, come on, and sometimes technology likes to be difficult. Unless, of course, in this case, it just likes to freeze, and then we'll go back and try again. There we go. So now you'll see on the bottom right side of your screen, there's a little plus icon. If you click on that, you'll see you can add contacts from the device that you're logged into. There's an icon that says scan QR code, that if you open that up, it will launch the camera on your phone where you can scan the QR code of another LinkedIn user. Or if you select My Code, this is where if you're meeting in person with someone at a networking event, between the two features here under LinkedIn QR code, you can use your devices to instantly connect with each other. Beyond that, there is one even better option that's great for meeting people at networking events. And so if we hit the blue icon again, you'll see the third option here is Find Nearby. If we select that option, it's going to prompt you for permission to add your location or to share your location. And if everybody at the networking event is simultaneously looking at this screen, it will show you a list of every single LinkedIn user who has that screen open, and you can instantly go through that list and connect with them. So that is my one tip that I want to share here that's specifically for when we get back to normal and networking again. So thank you everyone who was able to sit here with us today. And if you have any questions whatsoever, send them to me by email, ryan@openindiana.com. And what I'm going to do is take the webinar that we covered today, as well as any of the questions that you guys had, and we'll keep them as a video for archival on our website. So in a future email, you'll see from us when we make this available on our website for you to view again and again and again and share with people. So have a great afternoon, everyone, and try and stay dry. It looks like it stopped raining here, but I think that's at least for today.